Good afternoon. It is Sunday afternoon. This is the 13th of September 2020, and I'm just having a look at commodities. I'm starting off with gold. So gold, from a monthly perspective, is overextended, and I am anticipating a pullback. I'd love to see it come down, connect with 1800. I also, of course, would like to see it pull further back and connect sort of with 1550 to 1600. Now, this is less likely, but I do believe that a pullback to at least 1800 is feasible and potentially on the cards. Having a look at the weekly in isolation, the weekly is nice and bullish. Price is consolidating. It's very much reluctant to head lower and is trying to hold the line, so to speak, at 1900. Look at it on the daily. What I do find interesting here is we do have a series of lower highs coming into a flat level, approximately 1925. And this is a potential bearish breakout to the downside. So this could be this week, and perhaps by the end of the week or early next week, a prelude to a breakout. If it does break below this and break back down below 1900, I think it's reasonable to expect it to head towards 1800. So that's what I'll be looking for this week. There's nothing to trade at this point in time. If it starts to break the highs and starts to break up above 2000, then I can start looking for longs. But currently this is leaning towards bearish. Plenty of buyers holding it up at the 1925 level, propping it up above that. Plenty of buyers above that level. But it is a bearish breakout pattern to the downside, and therefore I'll be looking for that. Look at silver. Silver has a similar type of level of support at 26 that it's looking to hold. It is also very much overextended on the monthly. If it does break below that, it's reasonable to expect that to head down towards 21 or even 20. Consolidation sideways might ultimately just give in, and it might just come down and tap 25. So again, I'm also looking for this to potentially fail to hold above support and break below that this week. If that's the case, there's nothing to trade until the market either breaks below that and resolves some of the overbought or overvalue that it has at the same time, or alternatively if it starts to trend to the upside. So there isn't really anything to trade until it commits to that one way or another. Looking at copper. Copper has got a nicer weekly trend on the weekly time frame, and is potentially coming back down to test support. It is a little bit overextended on the monthly up against resistance, but the weekly itself is not that overextended. So any kind of a pullback down 2.9 here down towards 2.8. Either of those are acceptable. Looking at platinum. Platinum actually has a downtrend on the daily, but is looking more and more bullish. And based off the weekly price action, I think it's more feasible that this week platinum is going to attempt to break through the 960 level and start to work its way up towards 1000 again. So that's looking more bullish than bearish. Palladium as well has done a really nice consolidation for a while. It's been very, very choppy. It was trending beautifully at an earlier stage. It's now attempting to break up. So I would say that both platinum and palladium, and perhaps even including copper in that, are looking more bullish than bearish, but gold and silver potentially treading water until they have kind of reached a better value and then looking to continue from there. But predominantly those I'm looking to take a retracement based off the monthly. Then having a look at crude. So I've spoken a lot over oils over the last couple of months, waiting for them to kind of start to move to the downside. And I still think this is very much the case. We've got this really nice swing high. Longer term trend is to the downside. And so this is going to be my approach for Brent, West Texas Intermediate, and light crude. Looking for these to potentially continue to head lower. 40 is really that kind of level there. It's a little bit overextended on the daily. But what I'm looking for is to see kind of breaks and retests of this to find resistance to start trading it to the downside. So that's what's really on my card this weekend. Technically, that's what it's looking at doing. This is very odd behavior. Obviously, no doubt, looks as though it's pretty much just propped up. This is not normal behavior. The market is attempting to go, not really going anywhere, and we find that after a series of small candles, we usually get a bit of a breakout. And it looks as though currently this is what it has decided to do, is to break out to the downside. So that's what is going to be on my watch list this week, is looking for oil to head lower. I can see it's hovering around key levels as well, key numbers. That monthly has now produced a really nice swing high within a longer term downtrend. And a lot of this technically supports the idea of going short. There's no downtrend of low highs, low lows on the weekly. And I don't really feel it's safe to say that there's a clear lower high, lower low on the daily. So what makes the most sense to me would be to see price retrace back up to 40, find resistance, find a nice shorting opportunity there, and then look to see it head lower, perhaps even accelerate towards the 30 mark. So in other words, it finally commits to heading lower, and does a much more aggressive move to the downside. So that's what will be on my cards, what I'm primarily looking for there. Having a look at digital commodities, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin just bumping its head up against 12,000, taking a retracement back into previous highs. And I feel that it's kind of approaching good value around 10,000, even towards 9,000. For the most part, I'd like to see a nice little bullish candle this week and see it break and continue moving, take another run back up towards that 12,000 level. And Ethereum as well, in this case, already having produced a nice little small bullish candle. This looks a relatively decent swing opportunity on that weekly. So break above the high of this with my stop loss below the low could be an opportunity there to see this head back up towards 450 and then on towards 500. Overall, a little bit overextended on the monthly, having produced sort of an indecision bearish candle, but we're only not even halfway through the month. We don't have a clear trend on the daily. We've gone from a high to a low to a lower high, so we could potentially find ourselves heading lower. But the weekly here is looking as though there's some potential for that to break higher. So taking this from scratch, certainly with Ethereum, looking to see us break the high of last week's candle and then take another run up towards 450 and 500. Finding that should break the low, then I'll be looking to see it head down towards 250 over this week. On the weekly, it's looking more bullish than bearish, and so I'm leaning towards the upside. And that's it in terms of commodities for me. I do think there are some opportunities. I think just a bit of focus. And I think the opportunities are leaning more towards cryptos and oils than gold and silver at this stage.